Hello guys, right, so Battlebots is back for another season. Let's all just take a moment to just appreciate that, shall we? Just... a whole new season of robot combat. Oh. Anyway, so format-wise, the show is pretty much the same as it was last season. It's basically perfect. The commentary's on point, the editing's on point, the camera work's on point. Everything's just fantastic. We had a few extra bits in this one with some behind-the-scenes stuff. We saw Deep Six's doomed test spin-off, as it were. And it's always good to get a bit of extra behind-the-scenes, you know, additional info, that sort of thing. There seemed a slight more emphasis on like the science behind stuff as well, which is good because it explains just a bit more about the decisions made for certain robot configurations, stuff like that. It's always good. And we had a very emotional bit from Will Bales there, very emotional. Anyway, on with the fight. So, first fight was Sawblaze against Rotator. Rotator had this weird setup. They said they didn't have quite enough time to sort of get it ready. So it probably wasn't as good as it could have been, annoyingly, in this fight. Sawblaze had this weird scoop thing, the rubber kind of side bits going on. But yeah, they basically dominated the fight. Really box rushed them from the start. And just didn't really let up. Good solid opening fight though, really enjoyable, went the full 3 minutes, so that's always good to see. Weird little bit from the driver of Rotator, sort of, don't know if he's playing up for the camera there or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, fair enough. Fight 2 was the new Sub-Zero against the new Cobalt. So Cobalt is Team Carbide from the UK, the Robot Wars team. I love that they'd gone with their design that was very successful in China, but they'd like homaged Carbide, which is now retired, with the same sort of colour scheme, the black with the green accents kind of thing. I think that's really sweet and really cool, and I'd love to see a picture of them right next to each other. I don't know why, I'd find that very satisfying. Sub-Zero is also back with a brand new design, which looks a lot more effective. In this fight we definitely didn't get to see it, but hopefully in some future fights we can see it sort of live up to a bit more of its potential, its design potential there. But yeah, Cobalt absolutely shredded poor Sub-Zero from the very start. It was definitely a match I was like, yo, wow, that's like vicious is the word. It's not just like, oh, smashy, smashy. I was like, oh my goodness me. Like, you know, you could see right into the innards of poor Sub-Zero. Even Chris and Kenny looked genuinely a little bit perturbed by the amount of damage on the underside. But they're the British team, so I'm going to back them. Yay! Next up we had Kraken against Ribot. Ribot's a very silly design. Well, I say a silly design, it's like a badass robot with a sort of silliness sort of just draped upon it lightly. But that was really good to see. I like, you know, you got to add some silly there. It's about the fun, it's about the sense of humour. Having said that, Kraken sort of, you know, a bit of a silly kind of wacky bot, really potent this year, really upped their game. They absolutely dominated this fight, you know, pushing them into the arena hazards, like biting down, that horrifying kind of crack pop moment was something to see. But Ribot's showing it's still got a decent weapon and, you know, bending those big teeth back still, so, you know, not completely one-sided, which is always good. I also love the commentary, like the humour in the commentary in this fight, when I'm saying about getting a massive toothpick because he's got some food stuck in his teeth, stuff like that. Just, I love the silly little comparisons they do to the way the fight's going, and often really spot on. Okay, so the next fight was Death Roll against Endgame, the sort of local derby, as it were. And this fight, so the fights up to this point I watched on a little preview I found somewhere, well, I sent a link to. And this fight was like cut out halfway through, and I was open-mouthed at how just violent and just insane this fight was. Stuff was like bouncing around everywhere. I couldn't believe like that there was a point when robots were flying around, bits of the arena, like the wall, the signs and stuff were flying around, and glass was falling from like the lights where they'd been hit, or the cameras, or whatever the hell. It was insane, this fight, and again, just like really hits home the just insane amount of energy that these things actually produce and, yeah, impart upon each other. I'm a big fan of Death Roll, so I was really pleased that they got the win. I really liked their robot Great White, essentially the same sort of robot in King of Bots. They did really well. I think they were kind of dicked over a little bit in that as well for not coming through their fight. So yeah, like I say, really good to see them do well. Okay, next fight was Hypershock against Valkyrie. I really liked Valkyrie last season. I really wanted to see them do well. However, I felt really bad for Hypershock last season because they just didn't have time to prepare, and their robot never really showed its full potential. So I was really glad, like, and happy to see it here do really well. What I love about robot combat is the fact that, like, series to series, stuff just develops, and you think it can't possibly get any more extreme or whatever than this. And we often hear about robots saying, oh, to stop a big spinner, they're gonna box rush it, and basically it never works. But now we've got robots that are fast enough that they can. If you look at the timer here, Hypershock is across the arena and smashed into Valkyrie in like within 2 seconds. That's insane. Like, that's at a crazy speed. So box rushing has become a legitimate tactic that actually works. And like I said, that's one of the things I really love about Robot Combat. Okay, so the fight in general, sorry, just got off on a tangent there. So Hypershock, I think, got a bit overexcited and went in too many times. That blade on Valkyrie is very cool. I like it. And I love the way they can sort of pivot and stuff. So yeah, I think Hypershock probably were a bit like, whew, okay, yeah, we were lucky to actually get away with being that ballsy and going in that much. But yeah, great fight. Penultimate fight was Blacksmith against Quantum. And again, on a similar vein, obviously Crushers have been around, but generally they're used more as kind of a control tactic. Suddenly, Quantum has come out of nowhere. Well, I say out of nowhere. In terms of Battlebots, obviously it's been in King of Bots, but in terms of Battlebots, it has come out of nowhere and introduced essentially a new weapon type of an actual Crusher that can penetrate like full-on armoured armour. So obviously there's a lot of controversy with this fight because they physically couldn't let go. They did try their best, you know, it's not like they were there going, wee, whatever. They were really trying to let go and stay within the rules, obviously. That edit where it sort of, they suddenly got away, the Battlebots Facebook page was updated to say that that was a 2-hour gap. So that little edit where you think, oh, they probably just popped them apart with a crowbar, that was 2 hours of them like trying to get them apart. So yeah, there was no way they were going to just wiggle it off. But as I say, as it's a sort of new style of weapon essentially, for this era at least of robot combat, the fact, I think it's very fruitless to get kind of uppity about the fact that they couldn't let go, because we're essentially in sort of untrod territory here. So yeah, I think it is frustrating, and it's annoying as well because Blacksmith, I love Blacksmith and I really wanted to win some fights this season. It so deserves to, but ultimately, you know, they Quantum didn't mean to kind of just hold on to them for that long, and I think Quantum's freaking awesome and beautiful, and yeah, so I'm still going to be back in Quantum ultimately. And the final fight of the night was the Tombstone against Lockjaw fight, which was over very, very quickly. Lockjaw went in straight away with the tactic they used successfully against Son of War Archie with that triangular back wedge thing, which is a really good, again, idea, just to sort of ping the horizontal straight up. And it worked sort of a couple of hits, but then I think, yeah, Ray Billings got wise. And it was a really clever tactic. I'm going to sound like I'm just sort of like on the bandwagon here, but I kind of thought of it at the same time that he clearly like implemented it on the thing. I was like, if he sort of backs onto it and then spins, that's actually going to work really well. And that's exactly what he did. And I was like, I'm quite pleased with that. I called that. But yeah, that really worked well. It took off like the two wheels at once, just tore them straight off. And obviously after that, didn't really stand a chance. So yeah, over very quickly, but always good to see Tombstone smashing shit up. So, yeah. Overall then, really solid opener to the season. Like I say, it shows some of my favourite things about Robot Combat. We had designs that have evolved, we got tactics that have evolved, we saw some nice big destruction, loads of behind the scenes stuff, and just generally some really decent fights. As I say, everything about the show just seems to be on point, and it's just such a well-honed, like perfect put together little show now. And yeah, I can't believe we get loads more episodes of this. Also, as you probably know, I went to the filming of this and I saw 54 of the fights of this season. I haven't seen any so far. I kind of guess I saw them kind of in the middle of the series, as it were. But in the reviews of the episodes where I saw some fights, I will, if there's something noteworthy I can think of about what I saw or what I observed, maybe something different or something in the editing that didn't make it through, then I will be pointing that out. But I'm not gonna, actually, I'm gonna try not to just point like, I saw this fight, but it might well end up like that if I'm honest, because it was just too exciting. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching this review, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it, and I'm really gonna try my best to keep up with this. So yeah, thanks a lot, and see you in the next video. Cheerio! Anyway, on with the fight. So, first fight was Sawblaze against my bollocks. It wasn't really, but oh god, I'm so crap at remembering shit.